Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com.
Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, our very first live pregame show, previewing the Sporting Kansas City versus LA Galaxy game kicking off at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Fox Sports 1. We're going to have some special guests call in. We're going to talk a little bit about the RSL game from last weekend, look around the league a little bit, and then, of course, get you ready for kickoff, leading all the way up to the 5 p.m. Transfer over to Fox Sports 1. So a lot to get to. Glad you guys are joining me as we do our very first live pregame show. You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy live pregame show on cornerofthegalaxy.com.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Now here's your host, Josh Gessman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, our very first live pregame show. We're very glad you all could join me here. Looks like it's probably going to be me all by myself. I think most of you can probably get used to that. I've done some solo shows before. Got a lot to get to in an hour. We are expecting calls in from the stadium. LA Galaxy insider Adam Serrano is going to call in from the stadium. LA Times sports writer Kevin Baxter also scheduled to call in from the stadium, so we'll work those calls in as we normally do. Of course, always want to get your thoughts either on the show, on the game, anything that I'm talking about, so please do me a favor, and whenever you want to, you can go ahead and call at 949-734-4217. That's 949-734-4217. All right, we've got a lot of stuff to get to, like I said. It's a little overwhelming to think that we only have an hour to talk about this, and all by myself. I was a little nervous that there wouldn't be enough to talk about, but that's certainly not the case. All around the league, things have been happening probably in good ways for the LA Galaxy, and that's where we really need to start. We need to look back at the RSL game and what the LA Galaxy were able to do in a 5-2 win over Real Salt Lake last weekend. Some really great stuff from the LA Galaxy, who had previously won on the road in Houston, something the LA Galaxy don't typically do. So now you look at it and you see that the LA Galaxy are looking good in road form, and hopefully that carries over to this Sporting Kansas City game as well. But against RSL, it was again the LA Galaxy giving up the first goal, and if you're like anybody else, if you're like most Galaxy fans, that should probably make you a little nervous, as the Galaxy have a tendency to make things difficult on themselves, and so you had a lot of things sort of happen in that first half. The LA Galaxy missed 3 open chances, realistically, before Real Salt Lake scored their goal. You had, as I scroll down to my notes, you had Giovanni Dos Santos being brought down in the box in the 4th minute. You had Dos Santos also clipping one off the bar. You had Steven Gerrard not converting that penalty kick, and you had Mike Magee not making a play, all within the first, 16 minutes before RSL got a goal off of Burrito Martinez when Luke Mulholland sent a ball in from the right-hand side and found Martinez on the backside, who out-jumped AJ De La Garza, and that was the opening goal in the 16th minute. But fortunately for the LA Galaxy, just 3 minutes later, Gyasi Zardes comes back with a wonderful right foot, and we should say congratulations to Gyasi Zardes making the preliminary 40-man roster for Copa America and the United States men's national team. That's very interesting to see as that goes down. So hopefully we'll see Gyasi Zardes at Copa America. If you're looking for Gyasi to continue to grow, then the goal he scored against Real Salt Lake should be your blueprint As somebody told me on Twitter, they said, for the first time ever, Gyasi Zardes' skills blew my mind, which, of course, is a play back to Zardes' very first interview he did after being selected by the LA Galaxy, or not even selected by the LA Galaxy, after converting him from a homegrown player into Major League Soccer. He went to the MLS draft that year and gave that basically that sound clip. My skills are going to blow your mind. Well, somebody said this is the first time that Gyasi's skills had blown their mind. Maybe a little unfair, but quite honestly, Gyasi Zardes isn't known for creating his own shot. You've heard me say it about 1 million times that Gyasi Zardes is a finisher and not necessarily a creator. And in this particular case, drawing the score all level with Real Salt Lake in the 19th minute there. So it was a good stuff from there. Then you had Mike Magee scoring in the 26th minute off a wonderful pass by Emmanuel Boateng. Boateng was on our Corner of the Galaxy show here on Thursday. So if you want to go to cornerofthegalaxy.com, you can hear that interview in its entirety there. Emo was great. A great guy. Seems like he really enjoyed, doing very well for the LA Galaxy, and something that I think he's looking to continue. So you have Boateng passing to Magee, which of course got the LA Galaxy the 2-1 lead. Then in the 41st minute, Boateng to Dos Santos to Zardes. Zardes with the bad touch assist. He seems to be good at those. Zardes with the badge touch assist goes to Boateng, and they get a goal off of that. Boateng scoring his very first Major League Soccer goal. Also got 2 assists, including his very first Major League Soccer assist as well. So 1 goal, 2 assists got Emmanuel Boateng MLS Player of the Week, the third LA Galaxy player in, I think, 8 weeks to get the award. Mike Magee was first with DC United. Giovanni Dos Santos versus Houston got MLS Player of the Week. And then you finally had Emmanuel Boateng get Player of the Week as well. All of this, of course, really seemingly happening without Robbie Keane, which is very interesting. And of course, we can't overlook this man, Giovanni Dos Santos. 2 excellent games, one in Houston, another great game against RSL. Played really well for the LA Galaxy. Again, something that I think you have to see as a trend for the LA Galaxy. You have to see Giovanni Dos Santos getting better and better as we continue on, because he is a designated player. He is the bridge player. He's the guy who's going to continue the LA Galaxy's success after Robbie Keane, after Steven Gerrard depart. He's the guy who's going to have to carry that on. The LA Galaxy are going to have to look to backfill designated players to him. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does today in Sporting Kansas City. But of course, Giovanni Dos Santos with amazing chip. Just such a great job. And you have to talk about Mike Magee, who started this play. I think whenever we did the live show on Thursday that we didn't even talk about Mike Magee and what he was able to do through the middle in this particular play. But that was the thing that stood out to me in sort of the replay, besides the amazing, ridiculous chip over Nick Rimando that Dos Santos put down for a goal. It's Mike Magee going through 3 RSL players through the center of the park, moving east and west and not necessarily north and south, but is able to find Boateng, who's streaking down the left-hand side. Now, Boateng does such a great job of getting around Beltran. And we talk about Boateng and just his sheer speed, how quick he is. I talk about quickness and speed all the time. I think you guys are probably sick of hearing it. There's a difference between quickness and speed. Boateng has both of those things, but so far all he's been able to show us really is the speed part. In this particular case, all throughout the night, and one of the reasons he was probably named MLS Player of the Week is because of his quickness on the ball with decision-making and getting around Beltran of RSL defense here. Beltran basically pulls him down. If that doesn't get called a penalty kick, I've watched it enough times. If Dos Santos doesn't score that, I think there's a huge shout for a penalty kick for, Emmanuel Boateng in the box there whenever Beltran pulls him down. But somehow he gets pulled down, he jumps back up, gives the ball back to Dos Santos. Dos Santos, reminiscent of the 2011 Gold Cup goal. Either Mexico fans or U.S. fans will be well aware of this goal where Dos Santos had to run around 3 or 4 U.S. men's national team players before he chips to the very far back post, and Tim Howard can't quite get a grip on it. Now, this one wasn't as good as that one. It was still outstanding. Sort of moving away from goal, floating backwards. Giovanni Dos Santos was able to slot it over Nick Rimando and into that far back corner for the goal. So the LA Galaxy go up, after being down 1-0. They get the 4-1 lead at halftime. Finally, really, there's not too much to talk about in the second half. The Galaxy really put the brakes on. If you look at the possession in this game, RSL favored the possession, and there's a reason for that. The LA Galaxy didn't need it. So it was pretty easy to do. They just sort of ceded possession, which of course gave RSL some chances in here. And in the 69th minute, Daniel Steres pulls down Yura Movsisian in the box. The PK was converted by Javier Morales. There was your goal for RSL that made it 4-2. Maybe a little nervous. No, not quite. 90 in stoppage time, the 90+1. Gerard scores after Beckerman flubs an interception. Gerard fakes out Olave and Beckerman, and you get your goal. So Steven Gerrard, you get 5 goals, 5 different goal scorers. Emmanuel Boateng with 1 goal, 2 assists. The LA Galaxy running completely rampant over a very good Real Salt Lake team who was without Plata, who was without Burrito Martinez, who had to be subbed off early in the first half after he scored the goal, basically. So, we work on trying to look at these different things. And we try to categorize how the LA Galaxy are able to do these things. We're trying to categorize how, what team they're playing against and how much we can really look at all of these things that are happening, to sort of put an idea of what this LA Galaxy team is about right now. All right, so that's really where we're at. So you look at the Houston game, and Houston is a pretty poor team, at least so far. And again, we can only look at, really what we've done or what we've seen so far in this MLS season. So that's what we can judge things off of right now is what have we seen and who are the good teams, who are the bad teams, all that sorts of thing. So if you're looking at that, if you're understanding that that's sort of where everything is coming from, then I think you have to say that RSL is a pretty good team right now, and Houston is a pretty bad team, just based off a record and what you've seen. RSL was the last undefeated team in Major League Soccer, and the LA Galaxy took them down 5-2. A pretty dominant win whenever all is considered. So you look at that in the Houston game, and you combine those two things, maybe the LA Galaxy are starting to hit a stride. Maybe the Galaxy are a better team in the West than maybe what we thought at the very beginning. All right, lots of questions, of course, with Bruce Arena talking about, bringing in all these older players, and Bruce really thinks he has a nice mix of players now, which maybe he does. Maybe the 35-year-olds are balancing out the 25-year-olds. Maybe all of that is working right now for the LA Galaxy. And if that can continue, because it's not just about one game here, it's about longevity. We talked about it. We talked about these 35-year-olds. And, what's the big deal? One game isn't going to sell you on Steven Gerrard. Now, granted, he played 2 excellent games back-to-back, 180 minutes of absolutely outstanding play by Steven Gerrard. What I think everybody was expecting from him. Giovanni Dos Santos, same thing. What have we seen from him so far since he joined the LA Galaxy that makes us believe he's a designated player worth spending the money that the LA Galaxy are playing on? Well, the last 2 games, actually, I'll even push that back. The last 3 games, including the Portland game where he played and he was just tired, I thought he played really well, quite honestly. And I know lots of people disagreed with me. That's fine. But you string in those 3 games that he's played. Last 3 games, is Giovanni Dos Santos reaching his stride? I'd love to know what you think. Please give me a call, 949-734-4217. Where do you think the LA Galaxy are right now? All right. Where do you think they're going to be? Okay. All these fun things in between, we can talk about it. So 949-734-4217 is where you can reach us. Phone lines are open. Should be getting ready to be joined by LA Galaxy insider Adam Serrano from the stadium here coming up in a couple minutes as well. So we have lots of stuff still to talk about. All right, so that's really where you go. Let's dive into some of this post-game stuff. All right, let's talk about some post-game comments from Bruce Arena. Why not? We look at really what Bruce had to say, and his first question, of course, was on Emmanuel Boateng and what Ema brings. Now, Bruce, being Bruce, said, haven't you guys figured out what Ema brings? And, of course, as the reporters, we said, no, we'd like to hear it from you, more than likely. So here's Bruce Arena on Ema Boateng.
He had a terrific game. Obviously, a nice goal, set up, I think, Magee's goal, assisted on that, and just had an overall balanced game. He obviously helped us in the attack, but defensively he played very well. And, just a great performance.
All right, so Bruce on Ema, and he continues.
He runs faster than most players, 1. He's left-footed, which helps in our attack down that side of the field, and he's a good overall player. He's really grown, and during the preseason and the start of the season. He can play on both sides of the ball, and he's getting better. He's understanding the qualities he brings to the field, and his teammates understand him, and allows him to be more productive.
All right, so there you go. Ima's learning. That's basically what we're hearing. Ima's learning. And I think that's what you have to expect. I don't know that he's still a starter. I think Sebastian Legette's still that starter as long as he's fit. So lots of things sort of are available for that type of position for Ima Boateng. He needs to probably learn how to be a super sub. That's probably something he needs to learn how to do. So, all those things sort of fit into the different plays. One of my favorite things, of course, is Bruce Arena and what he thinks like this team might look like down the road a little bit.
Well, I think in a couple of months we're going to be a real good team. We have some other players we're still waiting to get back in, and we're going to be playing together, obviously, over the next 2 months, and hopefully getting better each game. But I think we have a good team and a good balance with some young players, some pace, some real experienced players. A player like players like Steven Gerrard and Ashley Cole and Jelle Van Dam tonight were tremendous, and they're experienced veterans. They love to play, and they bring a great attitude on the field, and that's something I'm quite certain we didn't have last season. So that plus the young players like Giassi and Ima and you name it, Sebastian and Dan Steris. I mean, it's a really nice balance, and I think we have the potential to be a real good team.
All right, so that's Bruce Arena. Well, joining us now on the phone, I believe, live from Sporting Kansas City, traveled with the team there, is going to tell us all about it. LA Galaxy insider Adam Serrano. Adam, you there?
I'm here, Josh.
All right, great. Glad to have you on. First thing I have to ask is, what's the weather like? How was the trip over to KC?
Yeah, it's a cloudy day, kind of cool. We may have some rain, a little wind tonight, but it looks like some good conditions with some soccer. It looks like the rain's a little bit to the south. I know you're kind of a weather nerd, so
yes.
I'm sure you're going to be interested in that. But my Doppler radar said should be good for this game.
Adam, there it is. Breaking news. Adam's Doppler radar says it's good. That actually is kind of exciting for me. So that's a little sad for me and good for you. So what are we expecting from the LA Galaxy? I haven't seen a lineup come out yet. Actually, excuse me, the lineup is out, and I will say right now, and then we can talk about it. You have Rowe at the back, AJ De La Garza, Daniel Steris, Van Dam, Cole, Magee, Husidic, Leggett, Dos Santos through the middle, Boateng and Zardes apparently listed up top. We'll see how all of that lines up. Of course, the big question marks were Giovanni Dos Santos, where he would be playing, and of course, Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard not playing, Adam, not even in the 18?
He is not in the 18. He's not available tonight with a groin injury.
All right, so that's the big news there. Kind of something we expected after he wasn't available for training on Friday, correct?
Yeah, I mean it's something where you're still kind of seeing what's going on, but yeah, it was kind of expected. Maybe he wouldn't make this trip.
All right, very good. On the bench, you have Kennedy, Villarreal, Rogers, Laurentowicz, Leonardo, Garcia, and Jameson the fourth, all there for the LA Galaxy. So besides the obvious missing players, Adam, is there any surprises for this lineup?
I think it's pretty standard. It's something where, the Galaxy is still going to be confident they can get a result out of this. Players like Magee are playing very well right now. And I think that Bruce Arena has feeling confident. This group is undefeated in 5 games, and they have to feel like they can get a result.
You look at Robbie Rogers on the bench from this, still coming back from injury, or is this Bruce maybe making a little bit more of a statement about AJ De La Garza and where he expects AJ to play if he's going to keep Daniel Steris and Jelle Van Dam paired in the center?
I've been a proponent of keeping Daniel Steris there. I know I've said, I think Robbie Rogers needs to get a little bit more of a run out wide, but, if it's working, Bruce Arena's not going to tinker with it. That's just the kind of guy that he is. So he's going to let the chips fall where they may and just ride this hot hand.
And of course, the other battle for, I guess, position would be Brian Rowe. Still the starting keeper for the LA Galaxy. Adam, is that going to change anytime soon? Dan Kennedy's supposedly healthy ready to go. They brought Dan Kennedy in for this particular reason to anchor the LA Galaxy at goalkeeper, but has Brian Rowe played himself into that position? Is that now his?
That position is his. I mean, Bruce Arena has said so repeatedly that position belongs to Brian Rowe right now. He's playing very well. Dan Kennedy is here. He's in the 18. But, he's got to find a way to work his way back in. Right now, I just don't see it because I think Brian Rowe is playing exceptionally well right now. He's been one of the top players this entire season for the LA Galaxy squad, and I don't think he's going to lose his position anytime soon.
All right, so that's interesting. As the LA Galaxy go, I'm also in agreement with Adam. By the way, I think Brian Rowe stays until for some reason he either plays himself out of that position or something else happens. So it's good to see the LA Galaxy, maybe going a little bit younger. Adam, I guess that's one of the big criticisms. The LA Galaxy always going with the older players. In this case, it looks like younger's winning out. Are you still there, Adam? Can we still hear you?
Can you repeat that real quick?
Yeah.
It's kind of loud here.
Yeah, no problems. Adam at the stadium in Sporting Kansas City, so we give him all the passes for it being loud. I said that with Brian Rowe sort of maybe being that selection, being that starter, this is a case where all the critics of the LA Galaxy saying the Galaxy won't go young. This may be actually one of those cases where Young is going to win out of a position and maybe answer some of those critics. Bruce thinks he has a balanced team, doesn't he?
Of course. I mean, we look at this team. They're very deep. They're very balanced, and that's what Bruce Arena sought to do. And that's what we've been talking about, since the beginning of this season, since the preseason, since, he acquired players like an Ashley Cole, like a Jeff Florentowicz, and like a Danny Kennedy, to bring depth to this squad. And I think that he's doing it, and it's working very well.
All right, Adam, I'll let you go as I know you have to get back to the game, get ready to cover. You can follow Adam at LA Galaxy Insider, and he'll be tweeting during the game live from the game there in Kansas City. Adam, real quick, did you get any good barbecue, and did you see the world's tallest water slide?
I did see the world's tallest water slide. I did get some good barbecue with my pal Justino and Ralph Perez. Brendan Hannon was there as well. It was a very good time. Make sure you listen to Joe and Ralph on the call on LAGalaxy.com and hear their radio call.
Yeah, they'll have the radio call, something you want to pay attention to. All right, Adam, I appreciate you calling in, buddy. We'll talk to you later, all right?
See you later, man.
All right, there it is. LA Galaxy Insider, Adam Serrano, calling in live from the game. We have about 8 minutes until we're going to have another guest call in. LA Times sports writer Kevin Baxter will be calling in as well, but still have time for your calls and all that fun stuff. If you're interested, if you want to talk about what you see at the lineup right now, again, the lineup with starting in the back. Let's see if I can bring it up here. Brian Rowe is your goalkeeper in back. You have Ashley Cole on the left, Yella Van Dam and Daniel Steres paired in the center of defense, AJ De La Garza out right, Baggio Husidic, Giovanni Dos Santos, and Mike Magee in the center. Emmanuel Boateng and Sebastian Lletget possibly playing in the midfield, possibly playing up top. One of those two might switch out as well. It's showing sort of like a 4-3-2-1. I would say maybe a 4-5-1 might also work, or it also, as it always is, it's probably just a 4-4-2, and Bruce Arena will have everybody shift off. Maybe it's Gyasi Zardes and Sebastian Lletget pairing up together, which will be interesting to see if that's the case. Just because Emmanuel Boateng and his speed and what happens with Lletget. Is he going to play the number 10? Is Giovanni Dos Santos going to go up there and play with Gyasi Zardes? That's sort of what we've been seeing, is that Dos Santos has been that rover there. So it's stuff we all have to keep our eye on and look at. And so we see Zardes sort of looking up top, at least in the graphic that I'm looking at from the LA Galaxy. Excuse me. The LA Galaxy looking like it's possibly going to be Giovanni Dos Santos and Gyasi Zardes up top, which is probably the end result for all this. Let's get back to a little bit of post-game. I wanted to talk about Steven Gerrard, even though he's not playing tonight. Again, not on the bench either. Whenever he missed training on Friday, that was one of the big question marks surrounding his inclusion in this game. Sounds like he didn't even travel, which, again, not surprising. This is all sort of par for the course so far. Steven Gerrard being injured so far at the beginning of the year. Looks like he picks up another injury. This is part of that longevity talk that we look at whenever we're talking about 35-year-olds and what the 35-year-olds are able to do for the LA Galaxy. All right. So, again, I don't think you can tell me that, all these old guys have been injured through the beginning of the year. And yeah, there's been some injuries. All right. There absolutely has. But you also look at some of the young guys who have been injured as well. Sebastian Lletget was injured. You had AJ De La Garza being injured. You had Giovanni Dos Santos being injured. Jose Villarreal has been injured. Raul Mendiola has been injured. Really, it's been across the board. Obviously, Robbie Keane is injured. Again, Steven Gerrard injured again. You can make this narrative fit whichever you want. If you want to say the LA Galaxy are old, then yeah, you could say that. Look at all the old injuries they've had. Look at all these guys who are 35 years old plus and have been injured and haven't been playing, and we're paying them too much money and all these things. Yeah, you can make that argument, but you'd also have to look at all the young injuries as well. The LA Galaxy, bottom line, have had at one point, I think, 10 or 11 players injured on this team. So it's something to watch. I'm going to do my best now to pull up the Sporting Kansas City lineup. Let's see here. All right, so we got Dwyer, Davis, and Madranda up top. You have Zusi, Espinosa, and Feilhaber down through the center. It should be noted that Benny Feilhaber, again, didn't get called up to the Copa America preliminary 40-man roster. I don't think that's ever happening now. You have Opara, Nuno Colejo. See, this is whenever my horrible Spanish and any name doesn't look remotely easy comes into place. You have Beasler, Sinovic, and Melia in goal. I can never figure out anybody's names. Please, you're lucky that I can pronounce most of the LA Galaxy's players' names on a regular basis. All right, so what I'm going to do real quick is let's go ahead and take a quick break, all right, because I have a call coming up. Hopefully Kevin Baxter will be calling in live from Sporting Kansas City as well. He made the trip out there, so that'll be interesting to see. But don't worry, we have a lot more Corner of the Galaxy on the way, so don't go anywhere. A quick commercial break, and I'll be right back. You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy live pregame show before Sporting Kansas City and LA Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com.
Recording from COG Studios and not their mom's basement, it's Corner of the Galaxy.
Welcome back to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, our live pregame show before Sporting Kansas City takes on the LA Galaxy in KC. We're fortunate enough to be joined by another person who is live here at the stadium, so if you hear the background noise, that's what's going on. Please welcome back to the show, very good friend of the show. He's been on a bunch, Kevin Baxter from the LA Times. Kevin, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. I'm trying to find a quiet spot here, so we'll see how that goes.
That's okay. It's all part of the excitement. It's part of the build-up here. We're about 30 minutes before really we're going to sign off, and I know kickoff won't exactly be at 5 p.m. Pacific time, but it'll basically lead you right up until that. Kevin, the LA Galaxy have released their starting lineup. They've sort of put out the best, I guess, that is available right now. Steven Gerrard, not part of this, did not travel with the team. What do you make of his exclusion from this with the injury, and what does that say sort of about Steven Gerrard so far this season?
Well, I don't think he's going to play in the next 2 games either. I think he's going to come back. He's going to miss. I think he's going to miss New England and Philadelphia and come back in the next home game after that. I think he's. We've been talking about this for a while now. He's a 35-year-old guy who's played an awful lot of games, and playing here in conditions that are a little bit more difficult maybe than he was used to back in England with the heat and humidity, and he's taken a couple of knocks. I still don't know what the last one is. We were told that he took a knock in training on Thursday.
Right.
I personally don't know whether it was upper body, lower body, what the problem was. I'm guessing it's back with the calf again. Those things calves and hamstrings can take a long time to heal. And that's why I personally think he's going to miss 3 games because the Galaxy want that to heal. And I think the same thing with Robbie Keane. I think you'll probably see Robbie Keane at home against New England. And then my guess is he doesn't make the trip to Philadelphia, and then he comes back and plays in the next home game. So the Galaxy are slowly getting healthy. But, if you're Bruce Arena and you look at this team scored 9 goals in the last 2 games, I know Gerard played, but you certainly don't have to feel like you have to rush Robbie Keane back at this point. There's a long season ahead, and he's 35 too. So I think it's kind of the best of both worlds for the Galaxy. They're winning, they're playing really well, and they get to rest the guys that are hurt.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's sort of a balance. Of course, whenever you're scoring that many goals, Kevin, you kind of don't want to tweak the lineup too much. And with Gerard not in there, obviously probably a lot more with the central midfield now and having to do a lot more work there. What do you expect from Sporting Kansas City here, and what do you expect from the LA Galaxy?
Well, you got to kind of look at Sporting Kansas City. If they scouted the Galaxy, realize the Galaxy had given up early goals the last 2 games and stormed back to score 9 times. Maybe what Sporting Kansas City is going to do is just concede a goal early just to turn that around. I'm kidding, of course, but
right.
I think Sporting Kansas City is looking at this, and they're feeling a little bit intimidated. This is a Galaxy team that does not give up a lot of goals, and yet they score a lot. So, they have some really good attacking players. Dom Dwyer, Graham Zusi on this team. A lot of national team experience, and they're playing at home. And, that may be sort of the big boost they have going for them. It's kind of in the Galaxy's head a little bit, I think. They've never won here in the Bruce Arena era. They haven't won in Kansas City since 2007. How long ago was that? Well, the team has had 2 names. They've played in 2 different states. They've played in 3 stadiums, and they've played in stadiums that have 5 different names since the last time the Galaxy beat them. So it's been a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say it has been a long time, and you look at it, it's almost coming up. Basically, it's 9 years. It's almost 10 years. So almost a decade when the LA Galaxy have actually won in Kansas City. It was probably against the Wizards instead of Sporting KC.
Here's how long ago it was. It was against the Wizards, and it was at Arrowhead Stadium when they still played in the state of Missouri. So that's been a while.
Yeah, it certainly has. What do you think about Giovanni Dos Santos? Is he going to be asked to play a different position today without Gerard in the lineup, or do you expect Gio to sort of be given the same freedom that he was in the previous 2 games that's been so successful?
No, I think he's definitely going to continue to play the same position. It's interesting that they put Sebastian Lletget. He's back in, probably kind of taking Gerard's spot in the lineup, I guess.
Right.
Although I don't think he's going to play the same position. And Emma's back in there again. That was a winning combination last time. The sad thing about Steven Gerrard is I thought you may disagree. I thought he played a very good game last time. I know he missed a penalty kick, but he did score late, and I thought he played a really good game. I thought he helped those guys up front click a little bit better than they had been previously. So I do think that he's going to be missed, but, Lletget, in the games that he played up until he got hurt, was dynamite. And Emma really came on Boateng and played really well in his last game. So, yeah, Gerard's out, but again, the Galaxy with this embarrassment of riches, Steven Gerrard's not going to play, and they almost don't miss a beat with the guys they can put out to replace him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Mike Magee and Baggio Sidic and Giovanni Dos Santos sort of handle that center and who else helps out there. Remember, Jeff Laurentowicz also available off the bench, so a guy who probably could start for most MLS teams could be available coming off the bench as well. So,
and I think you just said the key guy when you're trying to replace a central midfielder. Like Gerard, and he can drop back a little bit. He can push forward. Remember, they don't have Nigel the Jong today either. I really think the key guy in making all that work is Baggio Sidic. He's the guy that can sort of go forward and go back and do some of those things that Gerard did, and maybe fill in a little bit for the fact that De Jong is not here. And maybe I know Bruce Arena is not a big fan of formations. He feels like once the game starts, everyone kind of shifts and moves around. And
Right.
anyways, maybe they don't stay with that strict 4-4-2. Maybe it becomes more sort of a 4-3-3, just with the personnel they have out there.
Yeah, the LA Galaxy have, Kevin, in the past 2 games, pushed a lot of players forward. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see it morph sort of into a 4-3-3 with Leggett and Boateng both getting up on the front line, including even Giovanni Dos Santos up there on the front line with Giassi Zardes. I've seen 4 or 5 LA Galaxy players sit high during this stretch of good games. I asked Adam how... Yeah, go ahead.
And you know what I was going to say is that's a really good point. And you know why they do that is I think it's because they have such confidence in the 4 guys they've kept on the back. Now, I know that Robbie Rogers is not in the starting lineup today, but they have a ton of confidence in Van Damme and Daniel Sturridge too. And I think the Galaxy feel like, look, we can push it forward because we're not going to get beaten on the counterattack. And when the other teams, do get through the midfield and do get to our back line, they're almost playing into our strength because Van Damme has been such a great passer. Ashley Cole as well.
Yeah.
I think they've done a real good job of playing the ball out of the back. So I don't think the Galaxy are so concerned about what counterattacks, and they are going to continue to push forward. And you're absolutely right. That's where a lot of those goals have come from.
Yeah, what do you think about the confidence of this team? Obviously, it doesn't win a lot on the road. Wins in Houston by a large margin. We said Houston was a dumpster fire. They destroy Real Salt Lake, who's probably a much better team. But at home, how much confidence do these guys have now going into Kansas City, minus maybe one player that they probably like to have that sort of kept this streak going with Steven Gerrard playing the last 2 games. But now looking at against Sporting Kansas City, who's struggling, do the LA Galaxy think they're going to get 3 points today?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. A couple of things. Sporting Kansas City has been struggling. And, when you talk to the players, even guys like Giovanni Dos Santos, who, not even here a year, he talks about our recent troubles on the road, and he talks about how we've struggled away from home and those kind of things. He has very little personal experience with that. And that's another thing you and I talked about, well, they haven't won here in a decade, and, they play in a different state. How many players in this lineup, know that and have experienced that? Remember, Landon Donovan's not here anymore. Omar Gonzalez isn't here anymore. But when you look at the guys in the starting lineup, again, Emma Boateng and Brian Rowe would have been here, but and Ashley Cole, Jella Van Damme, those guys don't remember any of that. They don't come in here feeling jinxed. This is just another stadium to them. So if there is sort of any kind of hex on the Galaxy coming here, those players aren't feeling it. So this is just another game to them. And you're right, Sporting Kansas City has won 4 games, but they've struggled. And then, their last game they won ended a losing streak for them. So, they're not exactly playing the best soccer that they've played in a while. They're a good team. They're definitely going to be there at the end. This Western Conference is just insanely good.
Yes, they are.
It's a very good conference, and that's another important thing here too. This is a conference game for the Galaxy. This is a potential 6-point swing at the conference standings.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's going to be interesting to see how the LA Galaxy come up. All right, Kevin, I'll let you go. The start of the game is roughly 20-plus minutes away, so thanks for calling in. Hopefully you got to see the world's tallest water slide, though, Kevin, right?
It's right across the street, but it's empty right now. There's no water in it.
We're going to have
Although
to
go. there may be water on the field. I'm looking out behind the stadium. You can't see it from the press box or from the stands, but there's a lot of dark clouds headed this way, so we'll see if that impacts the game. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what kind of weather the LA Galaxy and the Sporting Kansas City play with. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. If you're looking for Kevin, it's at KBaxter11 on Twitter. Go ahead and head out to see him as soon as possible. And Kevin, good luck with the game, and we'll talk to you whenever you get back, I'm sure.
Thanks a lot.
All right. There's LA Times sports reporter Kevin Baxter on the phone with us here. All right, we're getting closer to the countdown here, about 20 minutes now. Like I said before, 20 minutes until the LA Galaxy face off against Sporting Kansas City. We played some of the post-game calls. We've done a whole bunch of stuff. I'll find one more sort of post-game audio call that we can talk about before we get move on towards the rest of the league. I want to talk about standings and some other things as well. So really, it's going to be let's see. We'll give it to Steven Gerrard, and this is about Dos Santos. And I talked to Kevin about the freedom that Giovanni Dos Santos has found recently, what he's been able to do with that space, and what he's been able to do sort of as a real number 10 and having freedom to wander around. So here's Steven Gerrard after the RSL game talking about Gio.
Well, I think from Gio's point of view, the manager's shown big confidence in him, giving him that free role, that number 10, and that's what he came here for. But the manager's given him unbelievable backing and a lot of freedom to go and cause problems for the opposition defences. And the scary thing is about this team and the last two performances is we've still got Robbie Keane to come in.
You haven't had Nigel.
So the manager's going to have a headache in a few weeks' time who to pick, and we're going to be even stronger when the captain comes back, Nigel to come back in as well. So, I'm standing here a very happy man, and I'm very confident for the future.
All right, so there's Steven Gerrard after the LA Galaxy's 5-2 win over Real Salt Lake. That's the last of the post-game audio that I'll play for you, but I do want to go over a bunch of things, quite honestly. There's a bunch to talk about. Real quickly, I'm going to give you the standings right now in both the Eastern and Western Conference and what that means as we get ready for this game right now. So these are the most up-to-date standings you can possibly find. In the Eastern Conference, it's the Montreal Impact at 14 points, having played 9 games in first place. Philadelphia Union, the real surprise of the Eastern Conference, possibly the surprise of the league, maybe outside of Colorado being the surprise of the league. Philadelphia Union, 13 points, 8 games played. Toronto FC, 11 points, 8 games played. Just went down and lost to Portland in Portland. So Toronto FC, maybe struggling a little bit. Remember, they're opening up all of these road games to begin the season. In fact, this is 8 road games now that they've played. I believe they get to go back to BMO Field very shortly and open up that stadium as renovations have been completed. So Toronto FC in third place in the Eastern Conference. Orlando City, 10 points. 8 games played. DC United, 10 points, 9 games played. You have New York City FC with 10 points and 9 games played. And then 7, 8, 9, and 10 is New England, New York Red Bulls, Columbus Crew, and Chicago Fire. Chicago and DC United played in the rain in Chicago to a 1-1 draw. I'll talk about that game here in just a little bit. Western Conference. The very leaders right now as we stand before the LA Galaxy take on Sporting Kansas City. The Colorado Rapids, 17 points, 9 games played. Real Salt Lake, 17 points, 8 games played. FC Dallas, 17 points, 10 games played. The San Jose Earthquakes in fourth at 15 points, 9 games played. The LA Galaxy, 14 points, 7 games played. Again, everybody else has played now. It's up to the LA Galaxy to see what they can do. Right below them in 6th is Sporting Kansas City, 13 points, 9 games played. Portland Timbers under the red line in 7th, 12 games played. They just got a big 3 points, like I said, against Toronto FC. Vancouver Whitecaps, 11 points, 10 games played. Seattle Sounders, 10 points, 8 games played. And the Houston Dynamo in the very basement right now, 5 points, 8 games played. All right. So I also want to get to the Supporters Shield standings. We'll just give you the top 5 as it goes. Colorado Rapids, 17 points. Real Salt Lake, 17 points. FC Dallas, 17 points. San Jose Earthquakes, 15 points. LA Galaxy, 5th in 14 points. It takes until you get to the 6th place team, Montreal Impact, the very first Eastern Conference team anywhere near the Supporters Shield right now with 14 points and again 9 games played. All right, let's go around the league real quick as we talk about all the games that have played. You want to be up to date and know where everybody was and what happened with everybody. So let's start very clearly on Friday night as the New York Red Bulls absolutely obliterated FC Dallas 4-0. It was a home game for New York. You had goals from Sam, Kleshtin, Grella, and Felipe. 37th minute, 52nd minute, 71st minute, and 83rd minute. The New York Red Bulls played very well in this particular game. And it looks like Dallas is having these issues right now where they're shutting down. You remember they lost by a lot whenever they played Houston a few weeks back. Now FC Dallas getting absolutely obliterated going to New York. Granted, one of the hardest probably games to play is traveling all the way to New York. I know whenever the LA Galaxy do it, usually the result isn't great, although it can be spectacular sometimes. We go to Montreal and Colorado. This was one of the games on Saturday that took place relatively early. Montreal finally playing at Stade Saputo there on the grass, so Didier Drogba can play. A 2-2 draw for both of these. Again, Colorado getting points, even on the road. You had Drogba score in the 9th minute and Gashi for Colorado in the 47th minute. Tissot in the 50th minute for Montreal, and then Bobby Burling for Colorado in the 73rd minute. That knotted it up all 2-2. Thank you very much for the Colorado Rapids. Continue. Again, the leaders in Supporters Shield right now, Colorado Rapids. Raise your hand if you thought that was going to be the case, all right? We go over to what was probably one of the ugliest games that I got to personally witness this weekend. It was Seattle hosting Columbus. This was yesterday at about 1 p.m. Pacific time. Seattle won this game 1-0. It was Jordan Morris who got the scrappy goal in the 88th minute. I believe that's 3 goals and 3 games for Jordan Morris. So I guess if you're a Seattle Sounders fan, you're looking positive there. I believe Seattle also missing some starters as well, but Clint Dempsey did come back and play in this game. Realistically, if either of these teams could finish a chance, then this game probably would have been like 4-4 or 3-3. Quite honestly, Seattle wasted a bunch of chances. Columbus just inept right now. It's not that they're not creating chances, and this was said during the broadcast. It's not that they're not creating chances. Remember, this is a team that went to MLS Cup last year, is in 18th place out of 20 teams. They have 8 points in 8 games. They've been creating chances, can't finish to save their life. Quite honestly, it was an ugly game. Again, Jordan Morris with the game winner, 1-0 in the 88th minute. So there you go. You had the Philadelphia Union 1-1 draw with San Jose. Goal from Chris Pontius. Chris Pontius seems like he's the best pickup Philadelphia ever made in the history of Philadelphia. Chris Pontius doing a great job there. In the 30th minute, in the 83rd, Simon Dawkins was able to get a goal in to tie everything up. So 1-1 final in Philadelphia and San Jose. You had New York City and Vancouver in possibly the wildest game of the afternoon, of the Saturday afternoon. New York City 3, Vancouver 2. This was played at Yankee Stadium, the world's tiniest little pretend soccer field, if you want to call it that. Octavio Rivero scored in the first minute for Vancouver. Then it was David Villa scoring 2 goals in the 35th and 41st minute to get New York City up 2-1 before halftime. It was Bolaños for Vancouver in the 63rd and Mendoza in the 73rd minute for New York City FC as they pull away finally from Vancouver 3-2. Again, that was probably the most fun game. Still kind of a train wreck playing on the field as far as I'm concerned, but you know, goalkeepers could basically take shots from their goal kicks. That's always fun to see. Chicago and DC United, I talked about 1-1 draw. This was a game I think that a lot of people were expecting to be very boring. It was a little more exciting based on the fact that it looked like the weather was pretty bad, windy and rainy. So you had goals from Campbell for Chicago in the 41st minute and Patrick Niarco in the 64th minute for DC United, and that was all she wrote. 1-1 draw there. New England 2, Orlando 2. End to end was something kind of okay. I mean, I got to watch pieces of this game. New England not looking real sharp. Orlando still having problems with defense there. Orlando probably better than they were last year. Still interesting to see. You had Fagundes and Aguadelo score for New England, and Molino and Rivas score for Orlando. Orlando scored in the 90th minute to get the 2-2 draw, so that's always fun to see if you're an Orlando fan. So 2-2 draw for those two teams, and then RSL was able to beat the dumpster fire that is Houston. Nick Raimondo made a save with his face. It was 2-1 for Real Salt Lake over the Houston Dynamo. RSL hosting the Houston Dynamo there in Sandy, Utah. You had goals from Miranda for Houston in the 54th minute. Jordan Allen and Mosisian has scored in the 62nd and 70th minute for RSL, so a come-from-behind victory there. RSL gets back to their winning ways. 2-1 is that final. And then the game that just finished before the LA Galaxy take on Sporting Kansas City, it was Portland 2, Toronto 1. The real sort of, the real playmaker in this game was probably Portland's goalkeeper, Jake Gleason, who made 4 wonderful saves. 3 of them were probably pretty outstanding. I don't even remember what the other one was, but you saw Portland do a lot of good things in this game. Toronto actually played really well. They're probably upset that they didn't get any points. Will Johnson for Toronto had a chance to tie the game. Gleason made a great save in the waning moments here, but it was Portland 2, Toronto 1. Will Johnson did get a goal for Toronto against his former club in the Portland Timbers. It was Adi and Valeri on a set piece in the 74th minute that gave Portland the win. So there you go. That's around the league. Everything that was happening around the league real quick for you. And we are now about 10 minutes away from the end of this show and really the start of LA Galaxy taking on Sporting Kansas City in Kansas City. So we want to focus now a little bit more on that game. We've already told you the starting lineups for both teams. Kevin Baxter was nice enough to remind everybody that the LA Galaxy have not won in Kansas City since 2007, so almost a decade for the LA Galaxy winning against the Kansas City Wizards at Arrowhead, as Kevin said. So, this is the interesting part about this whole sort of this lineup. Whenever you look at where everybody's sitting now and how everything's going right now, you look at the LA Galaxy sitting just above Sporting Kansas City, having played a couple less games than them. The LA Galaxy with lots of momentum right now. You also have Sporting Kansas City, who had to play a midweek game. All right, so they played midweek against Vancouver, where they drew. This was in Vancouver. They had to travel to Vancouver to get there, so 1-1 draw there. Before that, they were in San Jose, so a little bit of a road trip for Sporting Kansas City before they come home and host the LA Galaxy. You're hoping for some legs, some heavier legs. You're hoping that the LA Galaxy have more, pep in their step, so to speak, to do that. So, all right, I want your calls now. This is the time. This is the time for your calls. All right, I'm going to say it slower. I've been told I said it too fast. All right, here we go. 949-734-4217. I want your predictions. I want to know where you're calling from. If you're at a viewing party, I want to hear from you. Cosmo, if you're there, I want to hear from you. Whoever you are, 949-734-4217 is how you can reach out to me and tell me what you think about this game. All right. We have a call. We're going to go to it right now. 661. Who's this?
This is Raul up in Visalia.
Hey, Raul. How's it going?
Good.
Good. Hey, what do you want to talk about?
I just wanted to say how I like the lineup, and I think that regardless of Robbie Rogers is the best bet for us to win.
Yeah, you think Robbie Rogers is probably that first sub to come in? He's gonna cover for AJ De La Garza?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I like well, the last two games, we've scored 9 goals, and Robbie's been on the bench, and you keep hearing about how he's supposed to have offense, but really, I think he's our guy.
Yeah, I mean, he very well could. What do you think about no Steven Gerrard in this lineup? Is that going to hurt the LA Galaxy?
It might be so good, but I think Magee can hold it down, and maybe the Jig can push forward and be that attacking midfielder for us.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Baggio Husidic has sort of been one of the unsung heroes for the LA Galaxy so far this season, having to cover while Jong was out, now covering for Steven Gerrard as he's out. Possibly Mike Magee in the center there with him, possibly Giovanni Dos Santos in the center with him. Lots of different things sort of happening between the lineup and what we'll actually see on the field here coming up in about 8 minutes, but that'll be interesting. Do you think the LA Galaxy are going to get 3 points today? They're not. Listen, despite the fact that they won at Houston, this LA Galaxy team does not play well on the road, Raul. Are you expecting it?
I'm expecting a win. I think with this team, with the players that we have, the subs that we have to come off the bench, you got Filibriata come off the bench, you got Jamieson the fourth, even Robbie Rogers himself can come off the bench. I think we can do it, man. I think we need to put the past 2 years behind us and go forward, because with this team, us as fans expect wins and we expect goals. I know it's kind of maybe too much to ask, but this is the Galaxy we're talking about.
Absolutely.
And we expect championships.
Absolutely.
And that's why we love them and support them so much.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It'll be interesting to see it. Raul, thanks for calling. We'll talk to you, and hopefully the game is an enjoyable one for you.
You got that right. I got my beer ready. Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. Here we go. Raul calls in. Again, 949-734-4217. 949-734-4217 if you want to get in. I want to know your predictions. You have somebody who's going to score the first goal. I'd love to hear who that person is. If you don't like the lineup, if you think somebody's missing, if you think you could make a substitution, who's your first person off the bench? All of those things, of course, can be talked about right here at Corner of the Galaxy during our live pregame show. About 7 minutes left in this show. All right, about 7 minutes. I'm going to end it a little bit early, starting right at 5 and not all the way up to kickoff, because I know you're all going to switch over to the game at about 5 p.m. if you aren't already watching and double tasking or multitasking right now. Listen, I think, again, a lot of this is going to be shouldered on Giovanni Dos Santos and what he's able to do. If he's able to create from that 10 spot like he has been doing, I don't think anybody's asking him to do something that he hasn't been doing. But nonetheless, it's going to be up to him to create the chances for the LA Galaxy to finish and to finish some of those chances himself. If the LA Galaxy cannot finish their chances tonight, I think Sporting Kansas City could really, really cause them some issues. All right. I think Sporting KC is a very, very good team. I think that they haven't been playing up to their potential, but I think they're capable of it. They have lots of playmakers. Graham Zusi, Benny Feilhaber, just to make up a few. Dom Dwyer, very difficult to get around as well. All right, we got another call. Let's see, 909, who's this?
This is Shane.
Hey, Shane, how's it going?
Good, how's it going?
Great. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just want to predict, I think we're going to win today, maybe 2-1. I think the experience that, that Van Dam and Cole bring, I think it's changing this team on the road. They look completely different this year.
Yeah, there's sort of an edge there, Shane, isn't there? Especially with Van Dam in the center. Without De Jong there, it's maybe a little less of an edge. But with De Jong, with him on the bench, the LA Galaxy have still looked very strong defensively. Do you think the defense is really where this team relies on right now for this away game?
I think absolutely. I mean, this team just looks way more composed compared to previous years. You could tell the forwards trust, they trust the defense, and it shows. It shows in their performance, and I think they're going to take this game. I think they're going to take it by more than one goal.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see because obviously, like I talked with the last caller, Raul, I said, the LA Galaxy, regardless of what happened in Houston, they don't play that well on the road, but with the momentum right now, with the way that Sporting KC is playing, you're thinking the LA Galaxy can get 3 points tonight.
Absolutely. I don't think they could score as well as they have before, and Galaxy defense is just too good for them.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Who's going to score the first goal for the LA Galaxy?
I got to go with the hometown boy. Let's go Zardes.
That's Zardes. All right, Zardes is going to get the first goal. Probably, maybe one he creates like he did against RSL, because if he does that, he'll have me eating crow and a lot of other people. All right, Shane, we thank you for calling, and we'll talk to you soon, all right? All right, there's Shane calling in as well. Still a little bit of time for you to call in, 949-734-4217. Need a couple more calls before we close this out. 4 minutes to go until this show is completely over, and you guys, I think, are ready for this game. It should be noted, LA Galaxy insider Adam Serrano reporting that Steven Gerrard is missing tonight's game with a groin injury. Probably not the same groin injury that Sebastian Lletget had. And despite all of your tweets, I do not believe that Becky G had anything to do with this groin injury as well. You guys, I mean, it's funny. It's funny. At least you guys keep me entertained. I have a good time at least. So yeah, we're certainly going to see what happens with the LA Galaxy. I'm convinced that Steven Gerrard was a big reason for the last 2 wins. And because of that, I don't know if the same sort of strength, the same confidence comes out there with this LA Galaxy team, especially I really don't know who's playing in the middle yet. If you tell me who the pairing is, if it's Giovanni Dos Santos and if it's Magee Husidic, then, now I can start talking and start seeing how things are going. But, at least the graphic that the LA Galaxy put out, which, by the way, behind the scenes, the graphics that they put out are almost never the way that they line up in terms of positioning. And you heard Kevin say that Bruce doesn't like formations. Bruce's basic answer to formation questions is, once the whistle blows, the formations change. You know that, right? Of course. So that's what they do. So to Bruce, there is no such thing as formations. There's 11 players versus 11 players, and I remember whenever it was an MLS Cup, and we were talking to Bruce before MLS Cup 2014 against New England, and they talked about New England possibly having a more players in the midfield. He goes, well, that means that there's less players somewhere else, which means we should be able to take advantage of them. He goes, these things just don't hold steady, all right? That's not really how it goes, all right? So there we go. That's sort of where we're at. We're winding down now. If you want to get your calls in, now is the time. 949-734-4217. 949-734-4217. Our very first live pregame show is about ready to wrap up here in just about a minute, but I have time for one more call if you want to get in. The LA Galaxy looking to continue their winning streak. If they win tonight, that would be 3 in a row for the LA Galaxy. It's been a long time that I can remember, at least off the top of my head, the LA Galaxy have won 3 in a row, and that included away games in it. If they do win it, they will have won 2 away games in a span of 3 games. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all goes. I see that Angel City Brigade has traveled there. I see LA Riot Squad has traveled there. One of my good friends, Kristen, had traveled down from Wisconsin to go to this game as well. So I know she's there. It looks like a lot of LA Galaxy fans are traveling. I hope it doesn't get wet. If it does, that's going to open up another issue for the LA Galaxy. The last time the LA Galaxy played in the rain, anybody remember? Not in an actual it wasn't an actual game this year. It was a preseason game versus Seattle, and Seattle smoked the LA Galaxy in the rain. Does that give us any prediction of what's going to happen? Probably not. Probably has nothing to do with it. But just be aware, last time the LA Galaxy's passing really struggled with a wet field, so we'll see how Sporting Kansas City does there. All right. I think that's about our time. LA Galaxy will get ready to take on Sporting Kansas City. This game is on Fox Sports 1. It's supposed to go right around now, 5 p.m. I expect that kickoff will happen anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes after 5. If that means you get a chance for a bathroom break before this all starts, and I get a chance to go home and actually watch this game from the comfort of my house without being right here. All right, the LA Galaxy live streaming their audio with Joe Tutino and Ralph Perez. So you can check that out at lagalaxy.com. They will have that live stream in case you can't watch it on television for whatever reason, you're out and about. But I think that is all she wrote for us here today, all right? So we had LA Galaxy insider Adam Serrano joining us from the field. We had LA Times writer Kevin Baxter joining us from the field as well. Thank you to both of those gentlemen for taking some time out of their game day coverage to talk to us here on the live stream. Don't know when our next preview show will be. We'll have to see what the timeline looks for, and if they're home games, well, that doesn't work. I have to be at the stadium. So we'll see when we can do this again, all right? For everybody here at Corner of the Galaxy, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate your support, buying stickers, doing whatever you do, because we're here for you. That's why we're here, trying to get you the most up-to-date LA Galaxy information as well. LA Galaxy, traveling all the way to Sporting Kansas City, coming up in just minutes. For everyone here at Corner of the Galaxy, you've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Goodbye, everybody.
Of a brilliant emerald sky.